right, Cougars. So for tomorrow's workout, it's called Roundabout. For this workout, you're gonna perform for time. It's gonna be 50 single dumbbell alternating squat cleans into 100 double unders into 50 hand release push-ups into 100 double unders, and then into 50 again single dumbbell alternating squat cleans. So again, just to kind of go through this movement workout already, keep in mind that if you don't have equipment, you're gonna go ahead and use odd objects. However, sometimes those odd objects don't always allow you to perform a squat clean. A squat clean is essentially kind of a deadlift into a pull to the rack and then a squat. In that case, you're more than welcome to just use whatever odd objects you have, and you could sub that out into just regular goblet squats or regular weighted squats. You're not gonna get a lot of the shrug, pull, and catch position that you normally would if it were a squat clean, but we do wanna keep in mind that, doing anything with weight, with an odd object can be cumbersome at times, so maybe squat cleans aren't going to be the best movement with your odd object. So you just need to make sure that you kind of figure that out when you do this workout. Also in the non-equipment workout, instead of obviously 100 double unders, you could go ahead and perform those 100 double taps if you want, or it's just the line hops back and forth. So it'd be 100 of them. I know it's written as 50, but it means over and back is 1, over and back is 2. It's just written weird this time, but normally it'd be 100. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just hop back and forth. So you have some options there. So let's go ahead and talk about the squat clean first. So the single arm dumbbell squat clean, there's some prerequisites. First, your air squat should be something that you can perform fairly well. So again, make sure that you know that your air squat's going to start with your feet outside hip width apart, toes slightly pointed out. You're going to start by sending hips back, butt down, and then squat below parallel. Make sure again that your squat feels pretty good. A lot of the times when we're warming up, we like to sit down here in Buddha. We like to pry our knees apart by driving our elbows to the insides of the knees and just kind of working around in the bottom of the position. Sometimes we reach down and grab our ankles, and then we try to extend the legs to straighten out while still holding on to the ankles. These are called Russian baby squats. We perform a lot of these typically at slower and faster movements to be able to just kind of see how we are feeling when it comes to a squat clean. A squat clean is going to be essentially an accelerated squat or an Olympic lift where we are pulling and jumping with weight. So make sure that you've also done some toe touchers today. Make sure that you've done, again, some jumping air squats just for some explosion, and make sure, again, that you feel really warm between the midsection, the lower back, and all the way down through the fronts and the backs of the legs. If everything's feeling really good, then you can start to kind of warm up what that squat clean will look like. So normally, sorry, I didn't have that ready. Normally, we would demo this with a med ball at school. So typically we're gonna step out to our air squat stance, we're gonna extend our arms, and all we're gonna perform essentially is a deadlift, just to start off with the movement with the med ball. Once we've kind of performed that deadlift and mastered it, where we are softening the knees, hips are sending back, we're reaching down, extending those arms, grabbing onto the ball and standing up, we can then start to add in the second part of the movement, which is kind of the Olympic lift or the jumping and catching of weight. So at the top of the stand of the deadlift is when we would actually take the med ball and we would shrug our shoulders, pull our elbows nice and high and outside, bring that ball up to that chest. We're gonna release for a quarter second. We're not gonna actually rotate the ball, but we're gonna rotate our hands, re-grasp back onto the ball. We've caught it in our front rack, and we're gonna finish the movement by squatting below parallel and standing all the way back up. This is kind of essentially the introduction to doing any of the Olympic liftings with squats. Most of the time we've been kind of sticking around that power position right now, which is typically that quarter catch or that muscle position. We are going to encourage you to start practicing these squat cleans. So you might grab your odd object, which is either gonna be the ball or the backpack, and start by performing those deadlift, shrug pulls, and then catches into the bottom. So it's gonna look something like this. Step your stance out right outside the ball width, reach down with extended arms, hips go back, lock those arms, lock those hands. We're gonna go ahead and slow right now. We're gonna stand, we're gonna shrug, we're gonna pull. I'm at the top of my lift, and we gotta think that I'm also on my toes because I'm jumping. I'm gonna release the ball and catch, and as I catch and it stays in that front rack, I squat down below parallel and finish the movement by standing back up. As soon as I stand back up, the rep is completed when I actually bring the ball back down to starting position. I'm going to speed up the movement so that you can kind of see what we're looking for in this now. So again, we're going to go ahead, deadlift, shrug, pull, catch, squat, stand up, release, back down. Deadlift, shrug, pull, catch, stand up, squat, release, back down. I'm going to demo to you from the side. Deadlift, shrug, pull, catch, squat, stand up, release, touch back to the ground. Here we go again. Deadlift, shrug, pull, catch, squat, stand up, release, back to the ground. Now if I have that odd object that I'm going to be utilizing today, if that's going to be the backpack for these squat cleans, just make sure, again, same thing, all of your cords and everything are all cinchered up. I've got all my books back in there. We're going to go ahead and perform the same thing. We've already probably warmed up. We're going to hold on to the backpack on either side, same thing. I'm going to go ahead, deadlift up, shrug, pull, catch, and squat. This would be really awesome for those of you that have access to those sandbags, dog food bags, something that's closed that you can adjust the weight. But again, same thing with that odd object. All I'm really doing is deadlifting up, jumping, shrug, pulling, and catching the weight, and squatting and standing back up. The big thing is it raises your heart rate because you're making it a continuous fluid movement. It's not three separate ones. It's not just the deadlift. It's just not the jump with the weight and the catch with the weight and then the squat and stand back up. It's like one fluid movement. So in performing this, make sure that you are taking the time to connect the movements together and you're hitting major points of performance. Let me catch my breath. So now that we're doing this with the dumbbell, it's alternating. So in this workout, you're gonna perform 50 of these movements, alternating. So same thing, you're just gonna deadlift. Typically start with the left arm or the weaker arm, your non-dominant arm, doesn't matter. But you're gonna go ahead and same thing, you're gonna keep though the weight on the outside of the body as opposed to those odd objects. We kind of already had our feet on the outside. Now the difference is with those odd objects versus obviously the single dumbbell is that my feet are going to be a little bit more narrow so that when I'm in my pulling position, like if I were with a barbell, I'm going to extend to my triple extension where I'm shrugging, I'm pulling, but now when I go to catch, I actually have to jump my feet out to my landing position or my squat position. Keep in mind, remember, feet directly underneath hips and shoulders. This is a pressing position or a pulling position. When we squat though, our position is actually out farther. Our feet are outside hip width. Toes are slightly pointed out. So in performing this alternating movement, we're gonna go ahead and tip the dumbbell head so it makes it longer. Don't lay on the flat edge because you can already see how this is pulling me lopsided. We wanna try to get as much lift as we can. If this is starting to become bothersome to your back, stack some books. Lift the weight up off the ground so you only have to touch this far off the ground versus all the way down. So you're gonna go ahead, same thing, keeping nice and square. You're gonna jump or deadlift. You're gonna shrug, pull, and catch. And as you catch, you would have jumped out and landed into your squat position. The weight stays on top of the shoulder, and then you stand all the way back up. Here's what it looks like in fast motion. Jump, shrug, pull, catch, stand up. And then you can switch just right then and there, halfway down, and your feet stepped back in. You're gonna reach to the other side. So that was one rep. I'll do 6 continuous right now. Up, switch. And you can see that I have pretty good narrow squat position that I don't need to adjust my feet that much. I'm barely doing minimal from stepping in to stepping out. It wouldn't be like that if it were maybe heavier weight. You should pick a weight that you can do all 50 unbroken. Don't go heavier than obviously 35s, ladies. Definitely don't go heavier than 50-pound dumbbell, gentlemen. Double unders, again, remember you can do double taps or you can perform those line hops, or just perform your double unders. There's hand release push-ups in this workout, so the 50 hand release push-ups. Make sure, again, you know that the major point of performance here on these hand release push-ups is, can we maintain rigid, stiff form as we come to the bottom and only sternum touches? And can I stay rigid and stiff as I press back up and reactivate? It's a much better push-up than just doing regular body weight push-ups. So keep that in mind. So you're gonna start again in tabletop position, stacking the hands directly underneath shoulders. Spread those fingertips nice and wide. When I've got this great angle here, I'm gonna go ahead and think about, rather than slouching my belly down, like if I were doing a yoga move called cow, I want to almost stay straight, but then start to add a little bit of a hollow position underneath my chest to activate my upper back here. When going out into our plank position, what that does is it keeps it nice and tight in the middle versus here, saggy. We want to be a little bit more up into active shoulders. You're gonna go ahead, come all the way down with control. When I'm at the bottom, just my sternum is touching. My hips aren't touching, my thighs aren't touching, so don't be droopy like this. You gotta really squeeze that butt, flex those quads. I release my hands a 1/4 inch off the ground. I replant, and then I drive back through. Touch, right back up, touch, right back up, touch, right back up. So break those 50 hand release push-ups. No more than, I mean, you kind of get a break every time you kind of hand release, but definitely these are really hard. These tire me out quite a bit. Probably, you know, no more than 5 sets. So, you know, if you're gonna take a breather, like for me, I usually take a breather. Try to break it up, you know, sets of 10. Get back up, do those 100 dumbbell unders, and then finish back off with 50 single dumbbell alternating squat cleans. If you feel, again, like the reps are too much, cut them in half. Do 25 dumbbell squat cleans, do 50 double unders, do 25 hand release push-ups, you know, 50 double unders and 25 single dumbbell squat cleans. You can always modify this by either reps. You can modify it by setting a time cap and saying how far do you get in 8 minutes, and then just stop wherever you're at. Otherwise, you can adjust it by always kind of choosing your weight and or the stimulus of the movement by making it more difficult or you know, a little bit easier for you. Okay? Reach out to me with questions. Good luck with this one. I'm getting ready to do it, so you'll see it on the Instagram. Awesome. See ya.